Okay. Yesterday I did finally get to paint. And these are the, I'm calling them the backgrounds papers for, like, this one right here is it's one of the mural panel pieces. You can see I painted right onto the brown paper sack. Left side short, so this goes on this side up and wraps around. I made these purposefully much bigger than what I would need, and I'm using I'm going with abstract blues and greens. These two are for the top panels. I have plans for these of some elements that I'm going to add in once the panels are put together, meaning I've got the panel wrapped, everything's glued, and then there's going to be some more stuff that's put on here. But for right now, they're in the process of getting done, and I purposely, they are abstract, because I just need them to be a background, if that makes any fun, or it makes any sense. I think I finally figured out one of the reasons why I like using an acrylic on the brown paper. If you can see here, there's kind of this tempera-like quality that I'm kind of digging on right now, for lack of a nicer term, that I like, kind of this matte finish, and then you can still see bits and pieces of things coming through, and you still know it's brown paper. I mean, there's no way you don't know it's brown paper. And this one, I think this one is for the back, the large, like the one that's shaped like the kind of the house kind of thing. This is going to go into the back, so you can genuinely see I have like a green area where things are growing, and then kind of a sky part right here. And again, there's more plans for stuff that's going to go on this. Right now, you can see they're kind of humpy bumpy. I'm going to put them under some weights. Now that these are completely dry, I'm going to put them under some weights and let them dry. And I had a client, one of my best clients. She is absolutely, Hanamati, just rocks. She came through and purchased some work, so then I could afford to get, I really do like Posca markers. I think Posca markers are a lot of fun. However, they are so cost prohibitive for me. I did some research and found this, I think it's Artistro brand, and they were having a sale, and I got just a basic set. I think these are 42, but I got 2 whites and 2 blacks, which I really liked, and I got a silver and a gold, which were also pretty cool. And I liked the arrays of the greens in here. Not much on the red side, but I was kind of looking at other colors. So I'm hoping once these are flattened, or pressed, I should say. I shouldn't say flattened. Once they're properly, much more easy of a surface to write on and to do things with, I'm going to come back in with those, and then more collage work, which is going to be a little different. So there's that one. That was, I think, the biggest one. This is the piece that's going to go on the lid, the replacement lid. I think this is the replacement lid. Painted paper for remake of orange lid. And that's the lid that's on the cigar box that's going to be going in as a drawer. So this piece is going to be, I cut and weighted that piece. It's all glued together. It's ready to go. And then this is going to wrap around it. And I wanted to have some extra so I can do some other things with. So that's why I made this one kind of a big one. I'm considering this one pretty much done, except for coming in with the paint. Now, you've seen these 2 pieces over here, because I have like 4 pieces I didn't get to. These are like some beginning pieces, where I was putting paint down. These are for the side panels, and I painted these both at the same time, meaning I just put them right down here and started painting. Partially because it was a little nicer to kind of switch back and forth between, work on this one, work on that one. But because I wanted to make sure there was a continuity of color and design because of the paint palette I'm using. Move this over. This is an old takeaway box, and I've been saving it for a long time, and you can still see that the paints are still pretty glossy in here. And I just covered the inside of it with some tin foil, which means I didn't glue it, so this means I can just tear it out if I need to, or just, if you're me and you're lazy, I'm probably just going to put a piece of tin foil right on top of it. But I sealed up these little holes here, and then overnight I put something on top of it to kind of keep the air out. So I've got this nice little temporary palette that I can work with. And you can see here that with the colors I'm working with, I'm kind of moving things around and mixing. So if I mix up a color between this, like this one's like a deep navy and this is a bright blue, and I mix a color here while I'm painting, I can make sure that it's added to both sides, if that makes sense. So one would think that maybe I should have just left these together. Yeah, I guess I could have, but for whatever reason I cut the two apart, and I think I like it better that way. So I've got the paint palette here. I'm going to be working on these two this morning, and then the remaining 4 that I need to paint that are all blue. And then I'm going to start working on some blues, and the blues and greens I'll be done with today. And then I'm going to move on to painting on newsprint. I did locate some newsprint that I had squirreled away. I am always saving stuff. Like this thing right here, like I said, I've had this for several years. It's been in my recycling stash. It's made it through like 3 or 4 different purges of recycling, because I was like, there's something I can use here. There's just something in here. There's another one, because we got takeaway in it. I have another one that's housing some pieces that are kind of fragile, but I want to be able to continue to see them and work on them. So these are nice for that. They're lightweight, and I like the fact that I'm using something over again. So I'm going to finish up the blue today. And I'm just painting on these with, like, this is not high-end acrylic. I actually kind of, like I said, I'm preferring this right now because if it's too thick, I water it down just a smidge, and I really like how it looks more like tempera paint, which is then begging the question of why I didn't buy tempera paint. The reason I didn't buy tempera paint is because when tempera... Okay, how do I explain this? When you're painting with tempera, and there will be... Here, this is a good example. Okay, you can see here... Let me bring this over. You can see here that there was more paint along the outside ridge, like I pressed down on my brush. With tempera, there's the binders within the paint will they'll bind and they'll chunk up and it'll dry. Number one, you'll get more of a speed bump. Number two, it's going to crack and fall off. The potentiality for it to crack and fall off is greater, especially with like elementary kinds of stuff, tempera paint. With acrylic is basically a plastic. It has a plasticizer in it. Not a plasticizer. It's acrylic. It's a plastic. This will hang together through much more bending, and it'll adhere more. It has that kind of glue-like ability to hold on to something. So that's why I chose to use a lower quality acrylic than a tempera paint. You can get really, really good tempera paints. They're hella expensive though. So that's the reason I didn't use them. Because I'm poor. My splurge was those pens. Now, the lid of the cigar box, you're like, why did you do something else for the lid of the cigar box? Because this is going to be the head of the new doll. I have plans for what's going on in here. I always have plans. I feel like I'm, what is it? Piquemu. I always have plans. I always have plans. So I cut these apart. It's a 5mm or 5cm cube with a hole in it. I'm not quite sure what this board is. It's some sort of like particle board kind of stuff. The actual box is made of wood. This is a particle kind of thing. I can tell, I actually, believe it or not, I saved all the little bits that I carved out of here, and you can kind of see, I think it's kind of wood pulpy stuff that's mixed in with a binder and then just pressed flat. But I don't think I think it's wood pulp and not like paper pulp kind of thing. Those are different sorts of things. And I think the binder was stronger too, because it has a nice heft to it. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with these edges. I may just straight up paint them. I'm not sure. I'm going to do a little selective sanding here. I did choose this side in particular that I know I want to face out. And this part for the lid is going to be hinged. I'm going to have to do, as you can see, the lid doesn't quite meet. It's just seriously like 0.5 millimeter off. So I'm going to add some holes in here with my pin vise, my hand drill, and put some pins in there. So this will lever up and down, because I have something that's going to be coming out of this box. And you can see here, you know, it's, I have another doll, one of my prototypes that I've kept, and I used that for this hole. And basically I just, after cutting all the pieces, I kind of figured out what the material was like, and then came back in with my knife and basically just started making small cuts on the inside, and kind of hacking away at it a little bit. And once I got it big enough, I have a small set of files here, and I just pulled out a couple of them. I love these little reamer bits on the end because they really helped out. Let me pull one of these out because this is a little shiny. These parts right here, it's a nice reamer, and I use those just going around and around and around and around. It wasn't exactly exciting, but it worked. I think it maybe took me half an hour to do it. It wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm going to paint today. I'm going to set this aside and think about it, because part of me really wants to use a contrasting color of paint here on these edges, and I'm not sure. I need to do a test. I have a little teeny piece over here. I need to see how it will take paint, if it will adhere to it. I'm not sure. I may just leave them like this. I really don't know. I'm usually not one that leaves things undecorated. What is it? It's a Latin term. I'm probably not pronouncing it right. I think it's called horror vacui. It's basically the fear of an unadorned space, which seems like a very, Roman thing. So for me, it's not so much an unadorned space, but an unthought about space. So for me, I need to think about what I want to put there. But yeah, there's the head right there. Wow, it really looks like a Jack in the Box, doesn't it? Huh. Anywho, I'm going to finish up the painting today, and then I'll have some more stuff to show you tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll have some painting. The mural panels will be flattened by tomorrow. It's been a little humid, so they should flatten very nicely. So, and again, I'm not using anything expensive to paint these. These are just, I think, like I said, I got a set of 15 fairly decent acrylic brushes, for 15 for like $8, something like that. So I will see you in the next video.